every corner you can come. Bring your story, bring your hopes. We'll meet you where you are and help you learn to grow. With US books and tax prep, we make the path feel clear. Step by step, we build the way so success can start right here. Hands together, hearts aligned, a place to learn and rise. We lift our people higher and open wider skies. Skills without borders, careers without limits, borderless accountants. We build the dream in it. Skills without borders, careers without limits. You belong right here, and we'll help you live it. For the local dreamers close by and the ones far away, we create more than a course. We create a brighter day, a community that shows up with support you can feel. We share the tools, we share the light, and make your future real. Hands together, hearts aligned, a place to learn and rise. We lift our people higher and open wider sky. Skills without borders, careers without limits, borderless accountants. We build the dream in it. Skills without borders, careers without limits. You belong right here, and we'll help you live it. If you've been waiting for a sign, here it is, come on in. You've got what it takes to thrive, and we're with you to the end. For every goal you carry, for every room you want to fill, we'll help you stand with confidence and turn your vision real. Skills without borders, careers without limits, borderless accountants. We build the dream in it. Skills without borders, careers without limits. You belong right here, and we'll help you live it. Skills without borders, careers without limits, borderless accountants. This is what we're made for.
What if the career you've been looking for starts with the right skills? Learn the foundation of modern accounting through US bookkeeping. Build confidence in communication and stand out in the global workplace. Gain practical US taxation skills used in the global industry. Welcome to the Borderless Accountants Intensive Training Program. What if the career you've been looking for starts with the right skills? Learn the foundation of modern accounting through US bookkeeping. Build confidence in communication and stand out in the global workplace. Gain practical US taxation skills used in the global industry. Welcome to the Borderless Accountants Intensive Training Program. What if the career you've been looking for starts with the right skills? Learn the foundation of modern accounting through U.S. bookkeeping. Build confidence in communication and stand out in the global workplace. Gain practical U.S. taxation skills used in the global industry. Welcome to the Borderless Accountants Intensive Training Program. What if the career you've been looking for starts with the right skills? Learn the foundation of modern accounting through U.S. bookkeeping. Build confidence in communication and stand out in the global workplace. Gain practical U.S. taxation skills used in the global industry. Welcome to the Borderless Accountants Intensive Training Program. What if the career you've been looking for starts with the right skills? Learn the foundation of modern accounting through U.S. bookkeeping. Build confidence in communication and stand out in the global workplace. Gain practical U.S. taxation skills used in the global industry. Welcome to the Borderless Accountants Intensive Training Program.
From every corner you can come. Bring your story, bring your hopes. We'll meet you where you are and help you learn to grow. With U.S. books and tax prep, we make the path feel clear. Step by step, we build the way so success can start right here. Hands together, hearts aligned, a place to learn and rise. We lift our people higher and open wider skies. Skills without borders, careers without limits, borderless accountants. We build the dream in it. Skills without borders, careers without limits. You belong right here, and we'll help you live it. For the local dreamers close by and the ones far away, we create more than a course. We create a brighter day, a community that shows up with support you can feel. We share the tools, we share the light, and make your future real. Hands together, hearts aligned, a place to learn and rise. We lift our people higher and open wider sky. Skills without borders, careers without limits, borderless accountants. We build the dream in it. Skills without borders, careers without limits. You belong right here, and we'll help you live it. If you've been waiting for a sign, here it is, come on in. You've got what it takes to thrive, and we're with you to the end. For every goal you carry, for every room you want to fill, we'll help you stand with confidence and turn your vision real. Skills without borders, careers without limits, borderless accountants. We build the
What if the career you've been looking for starts with the right skills? Learn the foundation of modern accounting through U.S. bookkeeping. Build confidence in communication and stand out in the global workplace. Gain practical U.S. taxation skills used in the global industry. Welcome to the Borderless Accountants Intensive Training Program. What if the career you've been looking for starts with the right skills? Learn the foundation of modern accounting through U.S. bookkeeping. Build confidence in communication and stand out in the global workplace. Gain practical U.S. taxation skills used in the global industry. Welcome to the Borderless Accountants Intensive Training Program. What if the career you've been looking for starts with the right skills? Learn the foundation of modern accounting through U.S. bookkeeping. Build confidence in communication and stand out in the global workplace. Gain practical U.S. taxation skills used in the global industry. Welcome to the Borderless Accountants Intensive Training Program. What if the career you've been looking for starts with the right skills? Learn the foundation of modern accounting through U.S. bookkeeping. Build confidence in communication and stand out in the global workplace. Gain practical U.S. taxation skills used in the global industry. Welcome to the Borderless Accountants Intensive Training Program. What if the career you've been looking for starts with the right skills? Learn the foundation of modern accounting through U.S. bookkeeping. Build confidence in communication and stand out in the global workplace. Gain practical U.S. taxation skills used in the global industry. Welcome to the Borderless Accountants Intensive Training Program.
From every corner you can come. Bring your story, bring your hopes. We'll meet you where you are and help you learn to grow. With U.S. books and tax prep, we make the path feel clear. Step by step, we build the way so success can start right here. Hands together, hearts aligned, a place to learn and rise. We lift our people higher and open wider skies. Skills without borders, careers without limits, borderless accountants. We build the dream in it. Skills without borders, careers without limits. You belong right here, and we'll help you live it. For the local dreamers close by and the ones far away. From every corner you can come. Bring limits, you belong right here, and we'll help you live it. For the local dreamers close by and the ones far away. We create more than a course, we create a brighter day. A community that shows up with support you can feel. We share the tools, we share the light. together, hearts alive.
Alrighty. Good evening, everybody. How are you guys doing? Everyone good? All right. So before we start, let us call on Christine to lead us with a prayer. Go ahead, Christine.
Good evening, guys. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together today and for giving us this opportunity to learn, grow, and share our knowledge with one another. We ask you to guide our speaker and everyone participating in this session. Give us open minds, focused hearts, and the wisdom to understand and apply what we will learn today. May this session be productive, meaningful, and beneficial to everyone. Bless each participant, their families, their work, and their goals. We surrender this session into your hands. May everything we do bring glory and honor to you. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. In the name of the
Amen.
Father, and the Son, and the Spirit. Amen.
All right. Thank you, Christina. All right. Again, good evening, everyone. Just before we start the quiz, I'd just like to ask you guys, how do you like our music, our theme song? Isn't it so nice to hear or listen to? So yeah, credits goes to Mr. John Chavez for doing that with the help of Suno. And if you guys like that, it would be fitting to have a music video of that, right? So that every one of us will be in the video. So if you guys can think of a choreography or how we can execute the music video, we're open for suggestions. And one thing I have in mind is that everybody should be there, right? Like if you can take a quick 3 or 5 seconds video of yourself doing anything, maybe you're dancing, you're attending the course, you're, whatever it is that relates to BA. If you can probably send us an entry, and then no matter how raw that could be, just so you can see your face on the music video. The idea would be like a station ID, right? If you like a fan of a station ID, it would be nice, right? And especially that we're doing the first batch. We are like the pioneering batch, so it'll be nice. You look back into it, many years down the road when you're already seasoned tax professionals in the US, you would look back at how it all started. So we want to make that memorable for everybody, right? All right, so yeah, think of something that can help liven up that music via music video. And yeah, hope you guys are all okay. In Manila, it's been raining for the past 7 days that we are here. I don't know what's going on. Some are actually getting affected now, losing electricity and internet. But I hope they're all okay. And for you guys who are in the sunny side of the Philippines, good for you. All right, so let us start today's quiz. I hope you guys are ready. I'll be pasting the link to the quiz on the chat box. And then I will be showing my screen right about now. So if you guys have your phone, All right, guys, last 5 minutes. Last 3 minutes. Last 2 minutes, guys. What's your score? Starting the chat box. In the comment section, how about this? Oh wow, Robert got 1. Oh, Chris got here day today. Irish doing some well things. Last minutes. Nice. Good work, guys. Was it too hard today, or confusing, or just okay? Nothing really. Last 1 minute. Seconds left, guys. All right, time's up. Good job. Adele on the first place, and twice in a row, Kenji on the second spot. Good job, Kenji. And Marielle on the third place, Jason fourth, Josh. I think Josh also made it to the top 10 yesterday. And Marita, I think is a new name on the top 10. Lawrence, a familiar name in the top 10. John made it to top 8. Good job. Jadi and Jade on the 10th. King, maybe you were a little slower than the others. You made it to the top 11, but otherwise, good job, guys. All right, so let's end today's quiz and let's do a quick review. Right, how did you find today's quiz? Was it good? Were there strange questions you found impossible to answer, or they were pretty reasonable? Okay, today's accuracy rate, 67%. I think this is a little better than yesterday. Okay, so let's do a quick review. All right, so first question, who must sign a completed individual return? That should be the taxpayer, and if the taxpayer is filing jointly, the spouse should also sign, as well as the paid preparer. Okay, number two, a taxpayer willfully signs a return he does not believe to be true. What has he done? He has committed a felony that could send him be paying 250,000 to the IRS. Okay, so this is a willful signature on the return. But this is not going to be the case for the preparer. Okay, I'll not talk about that because it's out of scope in our lesson. Number three, what does Form 4868 give a taxpayer and when must it be filed? So 4868 must be filed or gives the extension for 6 months, and the due date would be October 15, which is 6 months after the initial deadline of April 15. Number four, a client extends his filing but cannot pay. What has the extension done for the money he owes? So the extension does not extend the payment. Upon extension, it is advisable that the taxpayer settles at least 90% of the estimated tax due. And note that late filing is actually more costly than late payment. Okay, so the IRS give a lot of emphasis on timely filing than timely payment. Okay. Number five, a U.S. citizen is on a military duty outside the U.S. on April 15. What is he entitled to? So same as a U.S. taxpayer that's also located outside of the U.S., they get 2 months extension. All right, they didn't need to fill out a Form 4868. But if they want to get an extension all the way to October 15, then they need to file the 4868, and that gives them 4 months extension. Okay, not 6 months, just 4 months extension. Okay. Oh, this is a difficult question. Only 33% got it right. When is a Form 1040-NR due? Again, 1040-NR would be for non-resident alien. This could apply to us. I personally have to file a 1040-NR because that was a requirement when I applied for an ITIN. An ITIN is an individual tax identification number. So if you guys are interested in seriously pursuing a career in tax, then you will need to get yourself ITIN. And the only way you can get an ITIN is, or we as Filipinos and even our friends from India, the only way we can get an ITIN is we file a 1040-NR because we are considered as non-resident alien in the US. Make sense? And the deadline for that each year is 4th month. If there was no withholding, and if there was a withholding on any payment made to you as the filer, you get 6 months. Okay, so the deadline would be on the 6th month, 15th date of the 6th month following the calendar year end. All right, number 7, what is the failure to file penalty? That is 5% a month, and it's capped at 25%. All righty. And number 8, what is a failure to pay penalty? So this is a lesser penalty, right? It's only 0.5% a month, and it's also capped at 25%. Again, the IRS gives more importance in timely filing than timely payment. Number 9, a return is both filed late and paid late. How do the two penalties interact? So they don't stack after each other. The pay penalty or the late payment penalty can offset the filing penalty. So the maximum that the taxpayer will owe on top of his or her regular tax would be maximum 25%. All right, number 10, two clients each owe 10,000 and are 3 months late. One of them filed on time and the other one did not. So what do they pay? All right, so the first one who failed on time, who filed on time but paid late, only gets 0.5% penalty times 3. That would be 1.5%. And 1.5% of 10,000 is 150. But the other one who filed late gets a 15% penalty. And that penalty is called the late filing penalty. And a trivia, guys, a late filing penalty can be abated if it's, how do I say this? There's a first-time penalty abatement for taxpayers who filed late, but for the past 3 years, they have filed timely. Okay, so for some reason, the return was filed late, but they were compliant, meaning they filed on time for the past 3 years, then we can abate that penalty. Okay, and it happens a lot. It happens to a lot of taxpayers. But if it's consecutive, then the second one will no longer be abated. You have to wait another 3 years for you to be compliant before you can avail of the first-time penalty abatement. It is kind of ironic because it's called first-time penalty abatement, but it's actually every 3 years. Okay? And that penalty can be abated over the phone, right? That's one of the things that I like to do, because if I represent a taxpayer before the IRS, it makes me feel like I did something right for them. But actually, the taxpayer can do it themselves. They can simply just call the IRS and request for abatement. There's not much anything to do. Just request it. And if you're eligible, if the taxpayer is eligible, automatically the agent will just abate it. Okay. So that's how, again, one of the best thing I like about the IRS. There's not a lot of good things about them too, but that's one thing I like the most in terms of being a tax practitioner, because it's very straightforward, okay? And they play by the rules. All right, number 11, a client owes 20,000 and files 9 months late. What is the failure to file penalty? So this is capped at 25%, okay? So 25% of 20,000 is only 5,000. So you cannot go beyond that, okay? That's the capping. And then number 12, how can a client who file an extension avoid the failure to pay penalty? So that would be payment of the safe harbor, which is the 90% of the estimated tax for that year. Number 13, from when does interest run on unpaid tax? That would be from the due date, which is April 15 for calendar year taxpayers. And then last 2 questions. A return is e-filed. E-file stands for electronic filing. For a client who has an IP PIN, but the PIN is missing, what happens? So the IRS will reject that return, okay? It will never get accepted if the correct IP PIN is not entered, okay? And number 15, how long must a taxpayer keep books and records? It's as long as they are. There may be They may be material, okay? But generally, guys, there's what you call CSED, meaning the liability of the taxpayer expires after 10 years. So if it's already beyond 10 years, you can already dispose the any supporting document because that's already safe. Even if you wrongly filed the return or there was a huge mistake on the return, but if it's already been beyond 10 years, then the IRS will no longer be able to collect. Okay, that is for as long as the return is filed. Okay, if there is no return filed to begin with, there is no CSED. There is no, in other term, there would not be any what do you call that, statute of limitation. Okay, so it is important that the return is filed, and if it is already filed and it's been 10 years, regardless of whether that return was correct or not, the IRS would no longer be able to collect, regardless of the amount of tax. Okay, so it's technically called as CSED. All right, how did you guys do? How did you guys do with the quiz? Was it good? Are you proud of yourself? All right, so before we continue, we still have 4 minutes. I will just address one question I saw in the chat earlier about this could probably be some question with the rest of you guys. The question goes, what's going to happen after 6 months after we're done with the course, right? And we're estimating to finish the course by November, right? So how do you spell C? C said, Michelle, is CSED. It's an abbreviation, letter CSED. So what was I saying? So after November, once we're done with the course, we don't stop, okay? We don't stop learning because not everybody of you will be opportune to probably launch or launch your own firm or get an employment from a tax firm or practice as a freelancer, right? And some of you may have not yet fully digested all the lessons. So don't worry, guys, because again, this is a continuous learning process. BA and myself will be committed to be with you until you land your own client or you're able to do your own practice, okay? Because your success is BA success. All right, so in the case of, for example, of Lawrence, Corzan, and Francisca, and all others that are in the US, I will, help you guys launch your own firm. And if you need help in preparing those returns, I will be with you because, of course, I would want to see you guys have your own firm and have many people or have many staff in the next 2 or 3 years, right? And you become an EA, and then you become, you would offer tax resolution, you would offer bookkeeping, and on top of tax preparation. Because your success, again, is the success of BA. And when you start looking for employees or people who would work for you, even during just the busy season, you would not look elsewhere because you will have your classmates to help you, right? Of course, for the pay. And for the rest, of course, guys, next year I'm planning to really pursue client getting, right? Because like during busy season, I limit myself accepting clients because I have responsibilities as well. But now that I have so many people that can potentially help, then I would pursue aggressively looking for clients, be it in Upwork or be it through referrals. Because honestly, I have not been actively chasing clients because there's just too much on my plate. And in my case, I also don't want just to accept any client out there because, if I'm not able to review the return, that would also be on me. Okay. Usually tax season, the client that would want to pursue me just like, they just send a message. So I don't send out messages out there. I just, some clients would just message me directly, and then some I don't even respond to, right? So that's not a problem for me. but that's not the case for you yet, right? I say yet because it will come to a point when you would be in the same position as I am, where you would be able to select your or pick your own client. But of course, some of you, or if not most of you, will have to start somewhere, right? And we will be with you every step of the way. But the only requirement I have is that you have to be really performing, right? And I have to also know you, because if I don't know you, even if you're enrolled in the class, that means you're not participating in the class, right? If I can't associate a face before a name, then that means you're just there like a quiet listener, unless you are performing, right? Because if you come on top like almost every often or very often, then I would probably recall your name even if I don't associate a face, because some people are so private and I respect that, or some people are so introverted, right? They perform very well, but they don't want to be seen, and I respect that because I'm also like that. There's a part of me that's that's having the same personality. But then again, if you excel, you would naturally be noticed, right? So you have to be that. You cannot just be in the class and just passively performing, because there is a lot of you. It's still a competition after all. And the first ones to be, getting the support will be the ones that are really performing well. And let me just share this with you. Just recently, I don't want to name names, but there's recently someone who's joining the firm that I'm connected with as an intern, right? Simply because I already know her, and I can vouch for her work ethics, and she's got the right background too, and she's got a very promising, I would say, career ahead of her. And I would really want her to be part of the firm. So that could be you. And again, the only ask that I have of you is you really have to give it your best. Okay. Not 50, not 60, not 70%. Give it your all. Okay. And you can probably see that in the way we do things at BA. We're also doing our best, right? We're not doing this for just the money, right? Other courses will give you a course that would meet once a week, and then we'll just give you recordings, and not even taught by a CPA or someone licensed. You guys are being taught by a CPA and a EA. I'm not trying to lift my bench here, but I am credentialed, okay? And I'm doing the job for many years now, and I walk the talk basically, and I do it every single day, right? And it's not just 2 hours, guys. I spend hours preparing the quiz. I spend hours preparing the slides, and those are on top of what I do that pays me, right? So again, I cannot emphasize it more that you really just have to give it your best, because when you do and when you're ready, the opportunity will come. Okay, so right. So we do it differently with PA. Again, because my goal for you personally is that you will succeed. Okay. When you succeed in this, you will bring others with you. It may not necessarily be your classmates at BA, but if you can bring with you your family members, your friends, and whoever else that's within your circle, that would mean a lot to me personally. All right, so enough with that pep talk. I hope that you got the message. Again, just do your best, and others. I know that this appear to be overwhelming to many because tax is different from bookkeeping, and I understand that. And the past 2 weeks, almost 2 weeks, I've been bombarding you with so many terminologies, so many concepts, so many theories. And I understand that some people are not necessarily good at theories, right? And some are good at actual work. And that could be you. So if these things don't come to you very easily, don't worry about it. Don't stress too much about it. Because eventually when you're preparing the return, like the actual return, you will actually realize that, yeah, it's pretty simple, right? But I just don't want you to go out there and prepare a return, enter a W-2, enter a 1099, interdependence, select for a filing status without really understanding what those are, right? Because you will end up as an encoder. And no, I don't want you to be an encoder, okay? So again, if that doesn't make sense to you yet, that's okay. You know, we have a learning curve, and everybody has a different pace, different approach to learning. So just keep going, right? That's what I'm basically talking here. Just keep going, and the more that you do it, the more that it will make sense, and you'll be able to assimilate things as we go along. Okay, it's gonna make sense, right, JR? So JR, for example, sorry for because I saw your name, JR. JR is not excelling in the quiz, but I know JR knows the work, right? Because he works with me. He knows how to prepare a return, even review a return, but I'm not seeing him on top of the score. So maybe JR is not good at, exams, but he's good at the practical stuff. And there are people like that. And, um, so again, don't take it too seriously if you don't get the scores that you want. But of course, you have to assess if you're actually doing your best as well. But if you're not doing your best and you're not getting the score that you would want, then that explains it. Okay. All right. It's also different when you're doing actual tax. True. Very true. So it's different when you're already doing it. It's a lot simpler, right? It's a lot simpler because a lot of things are repetitive. But yeah, you will get to feel that in the coming days. Okay. All right. So having said that, let us continue with our presentation for today. If you have questions and I've not seen it, feel free to repeat it or reserve it towards the end. I hope you have the time to do a Q&A. All right. All right, everybody sees my screen. All right, again, good evening and welcome to session 8. So the last session of module 1, all right? This is the last theory that we'll cover for session 1, and next week, Monday, we are going to start with the gross income. Tomorrow, we'll spend, I know I made an announcement yesterday, but I actually miscalculated the calendar because we're Tuesday yesterday, today's Wednesday. So today we'll spend the last presentation. Tomorrow we'll do the summative test. And then Friday we'll do Friday Q&A. Okay. So all your questions in relation to the module 1 or the unit 1, we will cover on Friday. Okay. And then more time tomorrow to do actual entries in ProConnect. But we'll also be using ProConnect today. Okay, specifically on KDE tax. All right. So what we have built so far in our mock return. So we have the client file, the organizer, and the prior year return in our second session. We have already covered residency, and we have said that the taxpayer in our case is a head of household, and that the spouse, Sophia, is not eligible to file as joint, and that the deduction for this taxpayer is at 23,625 being head of household. Rosa, the mother, we tested that if she's required to file the return, and the answer was no. Elena, we also tested, and the answer was yes, because of the unearned income that has passed the threshold. The 2 doors to dependency, that one we covered yesterday. So the 2 doors, remember that's wait lang. I just noticed the quiz earlier didn't cover the material yesterday, was it not? So we no question in relation to dependents, right? Like what's the qualifying relative and what's qualifying child? I wonder. But we talked about that yesterday, right? The two doors of dependency, which is qualifying child and qualifying relative. You understand by now what those are with the four qualifiers. So it's not and or, it has to be all or nothing, or all four should be a yes to each of that potential dependent. And then we also talked about what could bypass those four, right? And then what we're going to cover tonight is part of Elena's interest, which will be tax at Marcus's rate. What is Form 8615? What does earned income? And then what is unearned income? And if we have time, we'll cover some diagnostics in ProConnect. Okay? So tonight would be half rules and half software. So I hope you guys have prepared for it. Make sure that you have, again, a second screen, or you can follow along. If not, you can just go back to the recording. All right, so the next 60 minutes, by block. First, we're going to talk about the kitty tax for about 20 minutes. And then after that, we're going to do ProConnect Lab for another 30 minutes. And then we'll wrap it up with Q&A if we can, okay? Otherwise, we can do it on Friday. All right, so the three numbers that we will cover tonight, the 1350, you already know that, right? That is the threshold for the unearned income. If the dependent has earned more than that, then there is going to be a filing requirement. Now, another is if there is an earned income on the part of the dependent, then whatever is the active income plus the 450 would be the standard deduction. And interestingly, 1350 is also the same standard deduction for a dependent filing a return with an unearned income that goes past 1350. Okay, so if the income is, say, 3,000 for the taxpayer, and this 3,000 is purely unearned income, so that 3,000 less 1350, whatever remains would be the taxable income. Okay, but we'll demonstrate that later, guys. I just need you to be familiar with this amount. So the 450 here would be the add-on to the earned income in relation to the deduction for a dependent filing her own return. Okay, and then 18 would be the age wherein the taxpayer will no longer be eligible for kiddie tax. All right, so let's just go to the next slide. Now we're going to cover the kiddie tax. All right, just give me 1 second, guys. I just need to respond to this chat. All right, so first, the dependent's own standard deduction, because the kiddie tax calculation uses it. So you met this last night and earlier in the previous slide. So this is a fast recap. Now, the standard deduction for a dependent with unearned income is limited to the greater of $1,350 or the amount of earned income plus $450. And the maximum would be 15,750, which is coincidentally the standard deduction for single filers. Okay, remember that a dependent cannot be a married individual. Okay, so unless there was an unless there, right? If they're married but they claim as a dependent because they only need to claim the any refund. Okay, so an earned income for this purpose does not include dividends or capital gains from the sale of stock. So there is a floor of 1,350, a formula in the middle, and a ceiling of 15,750. The work example shows the three zones, which we'll cover a little shortly in the upcoming slide. If a dependent has $900 or less of earned income, the standard deduction is 1,350. If a dependent has more than 900 and less than 15,300, the standard deduction is earned income plus 450. So it's just, the hinge, right? So if the unearned income is 900, then the standard deduction is 1,350, then basically there's no tax, right? There's no taxable income because the unearned income is less than the standard deduction of 1,350. Now, if the deduction is more than 900, or if the income is more than 900, then the deduction of the add-on of if the active income of the taxpayer is 550, right? Yeah, if it's 550, then there's also not going to be any tax, right? Because that active income plus 450 will come into the picture. If that doesn't make sense to you now, there we have an example or a slide that gives you the computation shortly. And then we'll also demonstrate that in ProConnect in the second half. All right, so here's an example. In our case, the dependent is under 19, but we already know from yesterday that dependent can be either under 19 or under 24, provided that that dependent is a full-time student. All right, so for example, Chris, age 5, has an unearned income of 5,100. Now, the deduction or the standard deduction on his return is going to be 1,350. Therefore, the taxable unearned income is 3,750. Okay, so that's what it means about the 13,000 or the 1,350 standard deduction for dependents. Okay, this is dependent, not a regular taxpayer. You may confuse it with the 15,750. Again, remember, this is a dependent, okay? Then on the next slide, in this case, there is an active income involved. An active income is a wage or a self-employment income. So, for example, the earned income or the active income is 6,450. Okay, so by now you're already familiar with the terminologies, right? Earned income is also otherwise known as active income. And the unearned income is also otherwise known as passive income. They may be used interchangeably. So the earned income is 6,450. The unearned income is 2,800. Therefore, the gross income is a total of 9,250. So here, because the rule is the greater of, right? The greater of 1,350 or the active income plus 450, right? So obviously here, the greater of the active income 6,450 plus the add-on of 450 is 6,900. That's greater than the 1,350. So she gets that, or this taxpayer gets that deduction. So therefore, the taxable income in this case is 2,350. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay. So another is if there's only purely unearned income. So if in a case where the unearned income is 2,800, the deduction is 1,350 because there's no active income, right? There's no active income. So the taxable income is 1,450, and this will be taxed at the parents' tax rate. Okay. So this is something that you will not need to worry because the software will take care of the computation of the taxes for you. Okay, but you just need to be familiar with how the numbers come about. Okay, because these are also very examinable. All right, so in the case of Elena, we know that her earned income is 700 from a summer job, and she has unearned income of 3,200, bringing her total income of 3,900. So her deduction in this case is the greater amount, which is in this case 1,350. Why is it 1,350? Because if we took the active income of 700 plus the 450 add-on, is only going to amount to 1,150. Right? So it's the greater again of 1,350 or the active income plus 450. 450 is a fixed number. Okay. So the taxable income in this case, in the case of Elena, is 2,550. Okay. So in the case where Elena only had unearned income, then her taxable income would be 1,850, which simply is 3,200 less the 1,350 deduction. Okay. All right. So now we're going to cover what exactly would cover or would be under an earned income or considered as earned income, and what would be considered as unearned income. So this is for someone who does not necessarily have any accounting related background. So earned income, example of that would be salaries or wages, tips. In the US, tips is very common. Payment received for the performance of personal services. So accountants, psychologists, consultants, those are active income. And then these are usually reported on a form W-2, or in the case of a contractor, 1099 in EC. Okay. So anything that you see on those amounts, those are considered as active income or earned income. And then what would be considered as unearned income? So these are usually reported on 1099s. Okay. So the only 1099 that is considered as active income would be a 1099 NEC. The rest would be passive income. Okay. So what are those? Interest, dividends, capital gains. So interest is reported on a 1099, so it's dividends and capital gains. Okay. Trust distribution, debt cancellation, these are also on a 1099. Pensions and annuities, social security, royalties, taxable scholarships. And these guys are again reported on a 1099 other than a 1099 NEC. It's very easy to remember. A 1099 NEC is for contractors because NEC stands for non-employment compensation. Okay. So all right, so let's move on. That's clear, guys, right? What is earned and unearned. All right, so let's sum it up with a question. Elena is 16, earned 700, and received 3,200 of interest. She is claimed as a dependent. Now, how much of her income is taxed at her parents' marginal rate? So this was a computation, right? So 700 and 3,200, that is total of 3,900, and then less the deduction. In this case, the deduction would be the greater of 1,350 and 700 plus 450. So in this case, how much is what is the answer? So answer here is letter B. Okay, so if you guys Let me see, my live was canceled, or my TikTok live was disconnected. All right. So the answer there is letter B, which is actually shown over here on this slide, right? Tax at the parents' rate, 1,850. Okay, so that's just basically that question. All right, so now we'll go into ProConnect because these things will not make sense if not put into ProConnect. Okay, so if you guys have ProConnect open, please do so. Let me open mine. And then I'd like you to also open up the tax organizer. Okay, so if you have the tax organizer already open somewhere, that's good. If not, please open it. And I need you to help me do the data entry because I don't have my tax organizer with me right now. But I need you to help me by typing in the required information on the chat box, okay? All right. Great. All right, so let me just open it, and again, from your end, open the tax organizer. And time check, it's 7:56, so maybe we can take our water break for 5 minutes. Actually, let's make it 9 minutes, so we'll go back at 8:05 so that you guys will have time to set up your own ProConnect, like I'm also doing from my end. All right, so I will be back and I'll see you guys again in or at 8:05.
From every corner you can come. Bring your story, bring your hopes. We'll meet you where you are and help you learn to grow. With US books and tax prep, we make the path feel clear. Step by step, we build the way so success can start right here. Hands together, hearts aligned, a place to learn and rise. We lift our people higher and open wider skies. Skills without borders, careers without limits, borderless accountants. We build the dream in it. Skills without borders, careers without limits. You belong right here, and we'll help you live it. For the local dreamers close by and the ones far away, we create more than a course. We create a brighter day, a community that shows up with support you can feel. We share the tools, we share the light, and make your future real. Hands together, hearts aligned, a place to learn and rise. We lift our people higher and open wider sky. Skills without borders, careers without limits, borderless accountants. We build the dream in it. Skills without borders, careers without limits. You belong right here, and we'll help you live it. If you've been waiting for a sign, here it is, come on in. You've got what it takes to thrive, and we're with you to the end. by step, we build the way so success can start right here. Hands together, hearts aligned, a place to learn and rise. We lift our people higher and open wider skies. Skills without borders, careers without limits, borderless accounting. We build the dream in it, skills without. From every corner you can come. Bring your story, bring your hopes. We'll meet you where you are and help you learn to grow. With US books and tax prep, we make the path feel clear. Step by step, we build the way so success can start right here. Hands together, hearts aligned, a place to learn and rise. We lift our people higher and open wider skies. Skills without borders, careers without limits, borderless accounting. We build the dream in it, skills without borders, careers without limits. You belong right here and we'll help you live it. Borderless accountants, we build the dream in it, if you've been waiting for a sign, here it is, come on in. You've got what it takes to thrive, and we're with you to the end. For every goal you carry, for every room you want to fill, we'll help you stand with confidence and turn your vision real. Skills without borders, careers without limits, borderless accountants. We built the dream in it. Skills without borders, careers without limits. You belong right here and we'll help you live it. Skills without borders, careers without limits, borderless accountants. This is what we're made for. From every corner you can come. Bring your story, bring your hopes. We'll meet you where you are and help you learn to grow. With US books and tax prep, we make the path feel clear. Step by step, we build the way so success can start right here. Hands together, hearts aligned, a place to learn and rise.
Have you guys pulled up your Broken Deck already? So today, we already established that there is a filing requirement for Elena, right? Elena being the dependent of Marcus. So we are gonna create her return and we are going to demonstrate an application of the theories that we have just covered in the slides today, okay? Or in the, yeah. Give me 1 second, let me charge my phone. So I would want you to go ahead, if you already know how to prepare a return. So click on Create Tax Return and then enter the information of Elena. So her name, her social, her date of birth. And can anybody in the team also type in the information of Elena? on the chat box so that I can just copy paste it. All right, so to create a return, just hit the create tax return on the top right corner of your screen in ProConnect, okay? And then that client, Elena, is not yet existing, so we want to add a new client. All right, and we're going to create an individual return. And then maybe it's up to you guys how you would format your return, okay? So some would have all in caps, some would have it in a formal structure where you only have the first letter of the name capitalized. But in this case, I would want it to be all in caps. So whatever floats your boat, okay? Elena Alvarez, right? Who guys has the tax organizer? I don't have it, but I'll pull it up just quickly. There you go. Thank you, Adele. So Elena Alvarez, date of birth. Where is my mouse there? And she has a middle initial, right? You can also do it like that. Elena middle initial Alvarez, or you can just do away with that. Whatever. It's okay to have no middle name. It's not a requirement. And her date of birth is month, date, year, right? So that's a format. So she was born June 4th, 2009. Her tax ID, that would be her social, is 606-31-7729. And then you can skip the email address and the phone number, or you can make up one, okay? Doesn't matter. All right, so we are creating for her a 1040 tax return for the year 2025, and then the tax name return, you can rename it. It doesn't matter. It's just for internal purposes, okay? So however way you want to say it, like Elena or Kitty tax demo, for example, okay? Doesn't matter. Whatever tax return name is okay, right? So hit next. All right, so once you get to this page, you would only see a federal tick mark for e-filing. We do not see a California one yet because we have not entered her address, okay? So now we can go input return, and her address is the same address that Marcus will have, right? Because she stayed with Marcus the entire 12 months. We already know that in the return of Marcus, okay? So we can input her address. Can you guys type in the address on the chat box, please? That's easier for me because I don't have to toggle. So I know that, excuse me. All right, thank you, Janelle. So this is, I'll just type it in, 4127. I'll have it in all caps, okay? So you guys can do the same, or if you want it written in a formal style, that I'll say is up to you. Larkspur. But some firm has a naming convention. So if your firm that you'll be working with follows an all caps format, then please do so. You have to be consistent. So apartment 3B, the city is Los Angeles. And then it's California. The zip code is 90042. All right, and then here you wanna change this to California, pull your resident. So if you go back to your profile, All right, you see California is now being ticked, okay? And you go back to input return. And the first demonstration I will show you, you would want to open your review for your form so that you can see the impact of what we're going to be doing on your own return. Why is this not? Okay. Hold on, guys. Let me stop sharing and then share again. All right. So let's rearrange our screen. All right, so if you go to 1040, right now you don't have any attachments, right? And you would notice this in on all tax software. The attachments or the statements will come when you enter or as you progress entering the tax information and the income documents of the taxpayer. You don't manually attach, okay? It will be the system that will automatically do it for you. Like for example, Schedule C, Statement 1, Schedule 1, Schedule 2, and whatever other forms, they will automatically appear here, okay? You don't have to manually attach them. The system will figure it out for you. Okay, and even the California state, that's automatic, okay? When you select the California state on the client information section, okay? So if you go to 1040, you scroll down, you see 15,750. This is a default status and standard deduction for ProConnect. So we did not classify Elena as single, but it did classify it as single because again, that's the default for ProConnect, okay? So you have to be careful. If you're creating a return for the first time in ProConnect, make sure that you update the filing status according to what the actual filing status of the taxpayer that you're working with, okay? So the single, because we'll keep that single because Elena is really single, right? But notice when we change this to dependent status, right? Because we know that she's a dependent. Now we select, sorry, I didn't need to flag it, but I will select this that she can be claimed as a dependent. Or yeah, she's being claimed as a dependent. Now let's refresh our form. Right, so the standard deduction now goes down to 1350, okay? Because she is a dependent, right? That was exactly what was shown in our previous slide, okay? The standard deduction for someone who is claimed as a dependent is a greater of the 1350 or the active income plus the 450, okay? So she has no income yet, so that defaults to the 1350 because we don't know if there was any active income to begin with. Okay, so she has no spouse. Then in her case, she has a 700 of active income, which is in the form of a W-2. Okay, you have to refresh yours, Robert. I think you can close the form and then reopen it. I think it's a matter of refreshing it. It should be 1350 the moment you change the dependency status to code 3. Okay, so there might be a delay. And then after which you go to income. And we assume that the 700 is coming from a W-2, okay? So we're not going to cover all these things because this is something that we will cover in the upcoming sessions, okay? What items to input in a W-2. So let's just go straight ahead to the wage information. So this is where you input the wage, right? Or the salary. So we input here, for example, 700. Well, in this case, she really earned 700, right? And all these things would be auto-populated. Again, we will not cover that today because that's going to be out of scope for today's session. So 700 in the form of a W-2. And then you go to your 1040, see that 700 comes up on top, okay? But your standard deduction is still 1350, okay? Now, what if, no, this is just what if, okay? What if this income was 1,700? What if lang, okay? Do you think this standard deduction will change? And if it will change, how much will it be? Okay, type your answer in the chat box. If we say she earned 1,700, how much now will be her standard deduction? And how did you come up with 2,150, guys? So 1,700 plus 450. Good job, right? This is what I like about this class, because I know there are brilliant students, right? And this is what I was talking to Sam, one of the partner in the firm that I'm connected with, is that I'm so excited about these people because a lot of them are really talented. And I can tell because the questions that come in, the participation, is just awesome, right? So I'm just so excited about our future, guys. So 1,700, let's prove your point, right? If it's really gonna change to 2,150. So let's just refresh the form. Maybe you have already done from your end. All right, it takes mine forever to load. Did it refresh from our end already? Right, great. So while waiting for mine to refresh, again, why is it changed from 1350 to 2150? Because it's the greater, right? The greater of whatever is the active income plus 450. And in our case, the active income is 1,700 plus 450, and then that's 2,150. Whichever is greater. Good job. All right, so let's put it back to 700, okay? Because we were just testing or doing simulation earlier. And then she has an unearned income, okay? An unearned income, we already saw that. Where should I go if I'm gonna be inputting an unearned income for her? Where do you think should I go? Interest. All right, only interest? Is it only interest? Could also be dividends. Okay, great. Can it be pension? Pension is a passive income. Can it be pension? Why not? Why not? she's she's still young, right? She would be busy. She's only 16, right? Good job. Could it be gambling? Could it be social security benefits? Right. So I think in this case, she's only gonna have an income and dividends because she's only 16. Okay. She probably would not be allowed to gamble. All right. So, and she cannot be a retiree yet. So let's say she earned that 3,200 from a dividend. And these ones, we don't worry about those because that's not the topic for today. So let's just say she earned 3,200 from a bank, right? And let's see. Let's refresh the form. Oh, mine's refreshing faster now. All right, so 700, 3,200, total income 3,900. Look at the standard deduction. It went back to 1,350. Why is that? Because her active income is only 700. Now 700 plus 450 is only how much? 150, right? So whichever is greater. Make sense? All right, and this is what I'm talking about. The related schedule is gonna auto-populate. Okay, so Schedule B is for interest. Okay, so here is your interest state. Basically, Schedule B is an attachment to the form. Okay, so Schedule B, it lists your interest, your dividends, and we covered part 3 last time, right? When we answered or when we prepared Marcus's return. So in ProConnect and other software, if there is no answer or there's no information provided in respect to foreign account in trust, it defaults to no. Okay, it defaults to no. So, but other items like Pro Series, for example, this is not answered. So it becomes a diagnostic. So it prompts you as a preparer to, hey, go back to your return because we need answer to part 3 of the Schedule B. Okay, but some software, again, they default. So the problem with the default is that you may make a mistake. Because if the taxpayer actually answered yes, and there's an F-bar requirement, but because you're not being thorough, you just went ahead and took the default answer, you may have misreported the return. Okay, so be very aware that, again, in ProConnect, even Lacert, CCH, and UltraTax, that's as far as I'm experienced, they provide default answers to this. In ProConnect, in Pro Series, that's a different case. And that is why Pro Series is widely used amongst firms that specialize on foreign expat tax. All right, it's very friendly to expat taxes. All right, so this one is familiar with you, right? Schedule B. And also 8615, we'll cover this shortly. This is the KD tax, which will help determine how much he's going to be paying in taxes. Although right now there's already a computation, right? So 256. We don't worry about the computation, guys, because it is always correct. The tax software will always compute the tax due for you based on a schedule, the graduated income tax schedule of the IRS. You don't see it somewhere here, but it's accurate, right? I have never seen an instance where it is inaccurate. So don't worry about this computation. And it's also out of scope for today. Okay, so right now, when you look at the return, you have just prepared, but it's not yet complete, right? The return for Elena, again, she's a dependent, and it's going to show up here. Here. No, check your information. No, where is that? Oh, it's actually on the second page here. Okay, so click here or see here under tax and credits. It's tick marked that the tax rate is being claimed as a dependent. Okay, so and then another thing, guys, in our 2 weeks session, notice what we have covered so far, right? The information of the taxpayer, we talked about it, the filing status, and then the dependents. Okay, so we have covered pretty much the first part of our 1040. Okay, the first part of our 1040, except for the digital asset. So the digital asset section, this is also asked in most tax organizer. And what it does is it answers the question whether the taxpayer engage in digital currencies, such as Bitcoin and all other digital currencies, NFTs, for example. So it's now called digital asset. And also ProConnect answers that in default, okay? So it answers it in default as no. So this is also one thing that you need to be careful, because if the taxpayer did actually engage in Bitcoin or any other digital currency, if you do not check this part, you may be reporting the return incorrectly, okay? So if in case that the taxpayer answered yes to the tax organizer, or if it's not part of the tax organizer, but you clearly see in the tax documents of the taxpayer that she or he sold or bought a digital currency during the year, then you will have to answer yes to this. Okay? So I don't know where to answer that in ProConnect. Let me see if it's here. Where's digital asset, guys? Digital asset. Who can tell me where to input the digital asset questionnaire in ProConnect? So I'm not the best at ProConnect, guys, because I barely use this tax software. Who can tell me? Janelle, do you know where to go? It must be in Schedule B, huh? Okay, does it work that way? Let me see. I didn't know that works for ProConnect. I know that it works for Lacert, UltraTax, and other software. Right. Let's see, double click. Oh, there you go. So just double click on that section. All right, there you go. Digital asset. So one is yes, no is an override. So if you say yes here, you refresh that form. So see, now it's no yes, okay? And we did that by double clicking on this section. But if you don't want to do that, now it leads us to here, right? If you don't know, go to miscellaneous info, direct deposit. That's where the digital asset questionnaire is. So for example, you're in here in client information and you want to answer that digital asset question, just go to miscellaneous info, direct deposit, which is right next to dependents. And you will see that digital asset questionnaire. Where is it? If you have a hard time looking for it, then just Control F or find. And then let's just leave it blank. Blank means no, right? Or number 2. So either 2 or blank, that means no. And generally, you don't want to input any overrides in a tax software because it's going to get flagged in the diagnostics. Okay. So now it's no. Okay. So again, so far we have covered the first part of our 1040 because we've already covered dependents, right? So that tomorrow we're gonna cover all these income information, and then in the coming days we're gonna talk about deductions and credits. The deductions and then the credits. Okay, so that's how the structure of the course is. We are following the structure of the 1040 so that you know which part, or you can relate it almost instantly into the tax form. Make sense? All right, so I think I have one more test here. So for example, the active income happens to be 27,000 or so, yeah, happens to be 27,000. So what would happen here? If it's 27,000, what would be the first thing that will happen or will change? How much do you think will be the standard deduction in this case? All right, good job. So it's gonna get to the maximum standard deduction for dependent, which is 15,750. And that's exactly what was shown in the slide, okay? So the 1350, the active income plus 450, and the maximum deduction of 15,750. Do your ProConnect refresh very pretty fast? Or the same case as mine? It also loads. It's annoying, huh? All right, so voila, look at that. It goes to 15,750. Okay. All right, so now she owes 14.99. And look at all the attachments. So now the return generates 1040 ES for estimated tax, the 8879 that I was talking about yesterday for the signature. So as you can see here, this is a portion where the taxpayer signs and the spouse and then the preparer. Okay, so this is the form where the taxpayer will sign, the 8879. Make sense? And then there's also a 1040 voucher. So this is for the estimates for the following years. Okay. Again, these are automatically generated, and we'll cover more of them as we go along. Form 2210 for estimates. This is a computation for the estimate for the following year, but that's again something that is out of scope for today. Okay, so the point I'm trying to make here is that the schedules or the forms will automatically populate in the return as you progress. Okay, the simpler the return, the lesser the attachments. The more complex the returns, the more the attachments. Okay? Copy so far? Are you enjoying this? Do you feel like you're being a preparer now? It feels good, right? Knowing the form, getting oriented what it is, and the forms and the numbers, how they come to life. So whatever it was that you were showing in the slide earlier, now they are seeing, you're seeing them happen in the tax form, okay? So now let's put it back to what it was, what it should be, say 700. Then refresh the form back. There you go. And then before we proceed, let's just do check return. Check return is where you will see if there are any errors in your return. Okay, these are in other tax forms are called diagnostics. Right, so see, these are your diagnostics. So first thing you look at, it would be the critical diagnostic. It's missing the occupation. So the way you fix that is you go to the return and maybe put her as a student. So this is typical for ProConnect. This is not all. This is not the case for. This is not the case for all software. Some software just allow if you don't put any occupation. But in the case of ProConnect, it requires it to be an input field. All right. So now you don't have that critical diagnostic anymore. Where would let me refresh this form. So where would you see the occupation? That would be on the first part of or first page of the return. Sorry, second part. I'm sorry. So see, this is the occupation of the taxpayer. And guys, a simple tax return would actually have 2 pages only. So this is your form. The tax return, page 1 for the 1040 in the second page. All others are attachments. Okay, all others are attachments. So if the taxpayer only has a 1040 return or a W-2 income, it would only generate this form, the 2 pages. That's simple, okay? But because we had interest, then it generated a Schedule B. And because this is a dependent, it generated 8615, okay? All right, and in the case of a taxpayer who's 65 years old, it's going to generate 3 pages. Okay. So really, tax return preparation is not complex because it's literally just doing inputs. Okay, so if you're already familiar with the tax form, with the situation of the taxpayer, you know how to navigate the tax software. It's easy, very, very, very easy. Anybody can do it, okay? But not everybody can review, okay? So this is what sets you different, okay? Because trust me, I had so many people doing data entry in the tax software, even without a background in tax preparation, because it's simple. They know what a W-2 is. They input that into the tax form. Once they're done, they say, it's done. I do the review, okay? But because they don't have this background, this information that we're having now, they are not in a position to review the return, right? They don't even understand what the return or the situation of the taxpayer that they are preparing the return for, okay? And again, you don't want to be that person who learns tax prep by learning the how and not the why, okay? So let's just tackle more diagnostics, some of which we cannot clear because some are related to the W-2. So you see the W-2, it's missing some information, okay? So because we don't have a W-2 to begin with. This was just a simulation of the matters that we have covered so far in our lesson, okay? So with that said, we won't be able to clear this diagnostic just yet, and we would not be spending time on it just yet because it will come in the coming days, okay? Right? This is out of scope for today. And there's also fatal. So EF, that means electronic file, okay? So you cannot, unless all of these are cleared, you cannot e-file the return, okay? So unless these ones are all cleared, even one EF critical diagnostic will disallow you from, will prevent you from filing the return, okay? So those have to be cleared. Fatal diagnostic also would not let you file. Why? Because, like, for example, this one, this requires an EFIN. You already know what an EFIN, right? EFIN is electronic filer's identification number. And just to set the record straight, we as Filipinos, we cannot get an EFIN, okay? Only those who have social security number can get an EFIN, okay? So if you're already thinking now that one day you will be establishing your own tax firm, you can. Nothing would prevent you from doing so because you can form an LLC in the US, even if you're a non-resident alien. But you cannot e-file the return that you're preparing for using your own EFIN because you cannot have one. And this is where Lawrence will come in, Corson can come in, Francisca and all other people in the US that you're having today as a classmate, because they can help you later on to e-file your return without being a US citizen, right? So you have to be friends with them, guys, because that's what I also do, right? So there are clients that come into me during tax season, and I say yes to the engagement, but because I don't have a tax software of my own, I tie up with a partner who is based in Los Angeles, and she's a Filipino too. So I prepare return, but we do commission split. Okay, so I give her a split of the income because that's her IFIN, and I have to deal with that because I can't e-file the return if I don't have an IFIN to begin with. So that could be a likely arrangement for you guys, unless you apply for a green card in the US and you become a social security holder, and that could be a possibility, right? You can marry a retiree or I don't know. There's a lot of visa options that can help you get a social. Okay. So that's EFIN, and that's something that we cannot clear. That is why ProConnect, guys, this is not a software that can be used when you're filing a return, a paid return that you will file as if you prepared the return. Okay, this is not. But if you are to prepare a return and you want it e-filed, there is another software that you can use that does not require EFIN, and that is TurboTax, right? TurboTax is another software that is also owned by the same owner of ProConnect, which is Intuit. And it is the tax software that is used for self e-file. Okay, so what you do, or what most small practitioners do, is they prepare a return for a client in the US, and then they do it over TurboTax, and then they file it as if it was self-prepared. Right? So self-prepared meaning in this part of the 8879, there is no paid prepare portion. It's gonna show there that it's self-prepared. Okay, so that's another way that you can do. But filing returns in TurboTax, even ProConnect, costs a lot of money, right? It's like, it depends on the complexity of the form. So minimum maybe of $100. So if you're gonna price your client and you're doing a self e-file return, take into consideration the software fee. So that has to be taken into consideration in pricing your services. So if it's of a 1040, for example, you want to price it, let's say a simple 1040, maybe 150. That is your rate. So on top of that would be the $100 for the software. So you make it 250. Okay, that is if you will do TurboTax. Even ProConnect would charge more than 100 per return. Okay, but if you partner with, say, this could be a good information for Lawrence and Corzan if you guys are already entertaining the thoughts of putting up your own firm. There are a lot of arrangements wherein you can get a software that would not cost you an arm and a leg to file a return. For example, Drake. Drake is very cheap. That's why it's very commonly used. And the way most firms do is they tie up with banks or financial institutions because they give preparers huge discount in a license for these tax software. And the way it does is they finance the refund of the taxpayer. So if you're that firm, what happens is, say for example, I don't know what the name of say for example, Bank of America, just example, okay? Bank of America is providing a tax firm access to Drake, but in exchange of Bank of America charging a very minimal amount to the firm is an agreement that they can go on an arrangement with a taxpayer to finance their refund. So what happens is, oh my phone just died. Okay, give me 1 second, guys. It's all right. So what happens is, when there is an estimated refund for a taxpayer, but the return is not yet filed, right? It's not yet prepared. The bank or the financial institution will advance that refund. Okay, so if the taxpayer is expecting 1,000 of refund, then the Bank of America come in and say, hey, I can advance a refund by, say, giving you 800. And then the rest you can get it once your return is filed. But of course, that comes with interest. Okay, so that's usually the way that tax firms can get a really cheap deal on tax software such as Drake. That's what I know. TaxSlayer is another one. but not so much for Lacert, not so much for Ultra Tax, not so much for CCH, because these are advanced tax software that are very expensive and usually used by bigger firms. Okay, so that's a cue for you. When you're applying for a job, you want to join a tax firm, your cue is the tax software. If they're using Lacert, Pro Series, Lacert, Pro Series, Ultra Tax, CCH, these are big deal firms. Okay, so they're big, right? You can also ask for a good rate, okay, because they're established. The fact that they can afford a sophisticated and expensive software, that means, you know, they're a big firm, but that also means they're preparing complex returns. Okay, complex returns, because forms like ProConnect and all other software, they don't have available forms that could only be available in sophisticated forms. Okay, so that's why when firms have sophisticated clients that will require not common forms, they switch to more expensive tax software. Okay, so again, that is a cue for you. If you see a firm that's using Drake, ProConnect, those are likely smaller firms, okay? Not very well established. And so in that case, you price yourself appropriately, okay? 1 second. Hey, Regina, I'm in a meeting. I'm in a training now. Just chat what we need. Okay, all right, chat, just chat. All right, sorry, guys. All right, so do you have any question on that, guys? Again, if you see software such as those, price yourself appropriately. You don't want to command a price that's too high for a small firm, because you may not get the job, and you may not get if you don't get the job, your first job, you may not get the experience. Okay. So that's diagnostics, and that's the software. So far we have covered, oh no, there's one thing that we need to complete on this return for Elena, which is the KD tax, okay, which is very important. So now we're gonna attach Elena's return with Marcus's return, okay? So 8615. Let's see if this works. Like double click in here. No. All right. So if you double click on anywhere, it leads you to or the basic information. Let's see, we'll double click on this parent's return. Parents information, because this is the part 2 is a parent's information. Okay. So if it's difficult for you to locate, you can search this here. Go to, what is the form? 8615. All right, children under 18. And that 8615 is under the main menu taxes, fourth tab or fourth menu. So children under 15, what you do is okay. So if you're in this page that says children under 18, click onto the top, which is back to parents information. Okay, click on that menu on the top, back to parents information. So this is where you enter the information of the parent. So Marcus's information, his social, and his filing status. Okay. So if you guys have Marcus's social, can you type that in the chat box, please? Because I think yes, it is Alvarez. And then his social is 606-24-4417. And then his filing status is head of household. And then we don't have a taxable income for Marcus because we didn't get to a point where we are entering information or income information for Marcus, right? So we'll just make up. All right, let's say Marcus earned 25,000. Again, just a number that is for mock purposes only. And then let's say his tax is 2,500, something like that, 10% of his taxable income. So you refresh the form. So that completely fills out 8615. So you see here under the parent's information, line number 6, enter the parent's taxable income from form 1040, line 15. So this is an example, 25,000. And then this was his tax, okay, on line number 16 on Marcus's 1040. So with that, the child's tax is computed to be 429, and that's also what you see in here, right? So this tax rate is the tax rate of the parent. Make sense? So that's how you complete an 8615. Now, question, can there be an option where Elena as a taxpayer need not file her own return? Is it possible for Elena not to file a separate return? Because if you look at it, as a preparer, you'll be preparing 2 returns. And in the US, they charge per return. Now, if you are Marcus, you don't want to pay for 2 1040s, right? You don't want to pay 2 1040s. So, because really this income is very minimal. This income of 3,200 is very minimal, okay? So for this case, a kiddie tax can actually be reported under the parent's return. And what is that? The parent's election on form 8814. Okay, so that form can be filled out on Marcus's return, right? So this is the child's information, in this case, Elena, her date of birth, her social, and then her income here, interest income. But then again, this has to be done on Marcus's return. Okay, so if we go back to our main menu here, let's go to Marcus's return. I have 2 Marcus return because I copied the first one. I created a version. So under taxes, see here, children under 18, 8615. I did that for, let me untick that. Oh no, this is another Marcus return, sorry. Okay, I'll just delete this thing. It's confusing. All right, this was the copy I made. And this is the beauty about Prokinet, guys. You can create versions of returns, right? Like copy the return so that you don't have to keep entering the information, right? So this was the original return that I prepared for Marcus. And then if I go to taxes, you can do parents election, form 8814, and then just input the information of Elena here, and then the income that she earned from the bank, okay? So we don't want to do that now because you can do it on your own, but that's for you to show that there is an option for Marcus not to file a separate return for Elena. He can elect to report Elena's income on his own personal return. Copy. So let's say 3,200 here, and that goes to his return. Okay, it's not coming because we have not entered the child's information. Let's say Elena Alvarez. What is Elena social? 606. Thank you all. So 606 317729. And what was her date of birth? June, was it June 3? 1990? 1999? I don't know. 2009, was it? Doesn't matter. 04600409. Let's review that return. So we did some mock numbers for Marcus. I remember last time we entered self-employment income, but in our material, Marcus, we didn't get to a point where Marcus has an income. Okay. So let's see. So 8814, right? So this is the tax on the income of the kid. Let's see. All right, so tax instruction 8814, 135. And then why is it 170? There's earned income credit. This is something that we will cover later. But the point of this demonstration is that for a parent to report a dependent's unearned income as a kiddie tax, the election that needs to be made is 8814. Okay, this is to get away with filing a separate return for the dependent. And in the case of the taxpayer, lesser cost, and on the part of the tax preparer, lesser work. Okay, makes sense so far? I know we covered a lot today, but main point, you see for real the standard deduction for a dependent, and then the form 8814 as well as 8615. All right, are we good so far? And then you guys can spend time, play around with your ProConnect, discover it, make some mistake. Nothing's going to be saved anyway, or it will be saved, but nothing's going to be filed. Okay, this is your opportunity to play around so that on Friday, you can ask questions. Okay. But limit your questions to the topics we have covered so far so that not to overwhelm others. Okay, especially if you already have an experience doing tax prep. I would discourage you from asking questions outside of what we have discussed so far. So what we have covered so far, if you would want to put that into context in the form of 1040, everything on this part, right? All the way to dependence, right? No question on income yet because income, credits, deductions will come after. All right. Are you good so far? Do you feel good? I feel good. So we have reached our and for today. Tomorrow will be summative test, so be ready. And then we will entertain some questions tomorrow if we have time. And then Friday will be a Q&A Friday. And a little announcement, guys, we are still accepting enrollees only until Sunday. So if you have friends, colleagues that you feel can, learn US tax, especially if you're doing bookkeeping already, or if you have a friend who's doing tax prep but still figuring out how to do better as a tax preparer, please invite them. You may be able to work with them, or they may thank you one day, and when that person succeeds, they may bring along you may be brought into the firm that he or she will be working in the future, or the firm that he will have in the future. So please share. We are expecting, or we are accepting enrollees until Sunday only. After that, we are strictly gonna be declining any new enrollees, because more than 2 weeks of live recording will be so much to catch up, right? So we don't want to overwhelm someone joining us on the third week and has all the 15 recording to catch up, including the quizzes, right? I don't think he or she will ever catch up and be able to join us live without being confused and overwhelmed. All right. So again, only Sunday we'll be accepting enrollees. After that, the tax prep course is completely closed. All right. So we gone a little over time, but thank you guys for sticking around. And let's call on let's see, what is that? 15 summative tests recorded. I'll announce in the GC, guys, how many items will be the quiz. It will be more than 15 for sure, because it's the summary of the questions or the material that we have covered since day 2. Can the Q&A be held tomorrow and the test on Friday? Maybe, yeah. If you guys are okay with the suggestion of Josh, can you guys raise your hands if you're okay with the Q&A tomorrow? Which may be a good idea, because if your questions are answered by tomorrow, you can do better in the summative test on Friday, right? So you have time to review. Yeah. All right, good. So Q&A tomorrow. And then Q&A first, Friday test. Yeah, I think almost everybody is in agreement. So, okay, guys. We are very, I would say, accepting of suggestions here, because this is, after all, a community. And so, yeah, very competitive batch 1. All right, so Q&A Thursday, summative test Friday. Okay. Thank you, Josh, for that suggestion. And I guess we can call on Christine now to close today's session with a prayer. Go ahead, Christine.
Thank you, Chris. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, thank you for guiding us throughout this session and for the knowledge, lessons, and insight we have received today. Thank you for our speaker, facilitators, and everyone who took the time to participate. Help us remember what we have learned and give us the determination to apply it in our work and daily lives. As we end this session, continue to guide us in our goals and decisions. Keep us safe, bless our families, and give us strength and wisdom as we continue our journey of learning and growth. May we carry today's lessons with us and use them to become better, more capable, and more confident individuals. We give you all the glory and praise. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. In the name of the
Amen.
Father, the
All right. Thank you, Christine. And thank you guys again. I'll see you tomorrow, same time, same channel. All right. Bring with you your questions. All right. Take care, guys, and have a good one.
What if the career you've been looking for starts with the right skills? Learn the foundation of modern accounting through U.S. bookkeeping. Build confidence in communication and stand out in the global workplace. Gain practical U.S. taxation skills used in the global industry. Welcome to the Borderless Accountants Intensive Training Program.